Do that loud. All right, we're gonna check. People to start council. Hooray! Amazing. We are going to jump right in with motion 1. When it comes up on the board. It's there. Perfect. Motion 1. Whereas an agenda was made and whereas we need to approve it, be it resolved that council approve the agenda of the council meeting of January 16th as seen on the Engineering Society website. Moved by Chloe, new year, new meeting, new agenda McCloskey. Seconded by Madeline. Why does it look the same? Pro vote. Is there voting either of our movers? Seeing none, is there any debate on the motion? Yes.
Lucas Baylock, Engineering Center. I cannot see the agenda nor the minutes from last meeting on the Engineering Society website.
Yeah, it was down. If you forgive me.
I can forgive you, but we can't vote on something that's on the Engineering Society website if it's not on the Engineering Society website. So we can, my suggestion would be to amend this motion 1, to be the one circulated to council via email. But then motion 2, we need to table until the minutes are available because I have not seen minutes from last meeting.
Yeah, sure.
Director's Fox.
Point of information. There you go.
Like, they are on the website, you just can't access them.
This one's
Point of
just council.
information. No, the table's
Can we wait
correct.
for motion 2 to talk about it? But this one's just for this agenda. But you're right, it's not on the website.
Yeah.
But you guys will also get it.
Yeah.
As Senator Baylock said, we would amend motion 1 to say as circulated by the council newsletter. Is that correct? For sure. All right. Thank you for that. Is there any further debate on the motion?
Tom Lozzi, DRD Chair. Is the presentation the exact mention you're giving today in our agenda?
He circulated right now, it was edited late with the financial advisors Wednesday.
Yeah, it hasn't been circulated. I just received it.
Understood. If it's a presentation that's going to be happening and a motion that's happening at this council, we should circulate it like now,
Okay,
and we should make sure
I'll
that.
put it in the folder.
Okay. All right. Is there any further debate on motion 1? The Director of Governance is working on getting the presentation into the drive that you all have access to. All right.
Okay, it's there. It's called Why Are We Selling Wood?
All right. Amazing. Any final debate on motion 1? Seeing no debate on motion 1, is there a closing from either of our members? Motion 1, whereas an agenda was made and whereas we need to approve it, be it resolved that council approve the agenda of the council meeting of January 16th as circulated on the council newsletter. Moved by Chloe McCloskey, seconded by Madeline Provo. Can I see votes for the motion, please? Thank you very much. Can I see votes against the motion? Are there any abstentions? Motion 1 passes. Motion 2. We will still read motion 2, and if you want, we can have a motion to table motion 2. Motion 2. Whereas it's been some amount of time since the last council, and whereas Nina wrote the minutes and they need to be approved, be it resolved that council approve the minutes of the council meeting of Thursday, November 28th, 2024, as seen on the Engineering Society website. Moved by Chloe, I never did Frosty McCloskey, seconded by Madeline, and you never will for a vote. Is there an opening from either of our movers?
Or
That's what we see.
okay, I think we'll have to skip this one. Or not, or do it. Yeah.
So,
And then, what?
Point of information. required to have it in the agenda to formally table as a part of the debate.
Okay, all right. There we go. Thank you for that opening. We will now move into debate. Is there any debate on the motion? Yes, please.
Yeah, Walker. I would like to motion that we table this approval of the minutes until,
Seconded.
All right, amazing. As this is proceeding the motion, we will move right into debate.
in the voting.
Into voting. Yeah, that's what I meant to say. Wonderful. Can I see votes for the motion to table motion 2, please? Thank you very much. Can I see votes against the motion to table motion 2? Thank you. Are there any abstentions? All right. The motion to table motion 2 passes. Okay. off being sick. I'm sorry, my voice is a little off. I'm going to try my best to speak loudly, but just know that I'm running at not full capacity. I also can break out into coughing fits sometimes when I'm sick, so if this happens, don't worry about me. I'll just be hacking up along outside. This might happen with very little warning, and if this happens, my deputy speaker or the deputy speaker will step in for me immediately. I've also been asked to share that there will be a pretty substantial discussion item at the end of all the reports, so please keep your reports brief so that we don't keep anyone here any longer than needed. Wonderful, that's the end of my business. We will now move into the presentations. Amazing, the presentation. So, if the vice president wants to come up, demonstrate that. Thank you.
So a little background. So the interesting side is we have 8 bank accounts. So we have each of the service obviously has their own bank account. Then we have a general bank account. So that's did I do the math wrong?
8 plus 1.
Sorry, yeah, you're right. And then the other thing is with our investment account is we have a mix of low risk and volatile stocks. Next slide. Okay, and then present day. So we've done the math. Obviously, it's a little tricky because COVID was 5 years ago, but we've come to the conclusion that the services, the collective amongst all of them, owes about $100,000. So the plan with that is obviously why we can't just transfer money directly from the services account is obviously because they make a little bit of money each year, but draining them for all of that puts them below a point where they're allowed to operate. Obviously, they still need a little bit of money in their accounts day to day so that they can operate and run as a service. And as far as like what stocks we're looking at selling, we obviously will not just be picking them. We're consulting with our financial advisor, which is why this presentation was super last minute. So this decision will come from him on what he thinks is best.
So our solution. We are motioning to sell $50,000 worth of our stocks pending the approval of this motion, and then another $50,000 in approximately a month. We chose to not sell $100,000 all at once because our financial advisor recommended that we sell $50,000 twice. The income from this would then be deposited into the Engineering Society general bank account, and we would use this to write off the services debt from the pandemic. This would allow us, the society, society to recoup our losses that we incurred over the cycles.
Yeah, so the rationale behind this is obviously these investments have been doing really well. We used to put half of our surplus from each operating year into these things. We did that for a number of years, and obviously there's a lot of money now in this investment account. Since then, we haven't ever used our investment account, so the money has just continued to grow and build and build and build. That being said, it's great to keep building, but also at what point are we gonna find a better rainy day or emergency situation than COVID-19? So me and Lily have come up with the idea of basically using this to cover the balances. That's also what the exec who made the decision to keep the services open intended. So yeah, really this isn't mine and Lily's decision. We're reprimanding a decision that was made 5 years ago when would have been grade 11.
And I was in grade 10.
Super fun. But yeah, so that's essentially our rationale.
So we did consider other options. We didn't just come up with this one and not think about anything else. But there really aren't many in the solution. So we could, in theory, write off the debt without selling stocks. We really don't want to do this. If we just write off the debt, that's great for the services, but it's not great for the society. We would never be able to recoup the losses we had. And the society does need to keep a certain amount of cash in our accounts at all times. And although we aren't necessarily in need of more cash, we go through a lot of money throughout the year, and during times where we have low income, we still need money in our accounts. We also thought about just ignoring it, like the last couple of execs have done. This is obviously a very bad Okay, but by ignoring it, I don't mean that it was purposefully ignored. It was more just that before the split, there was literally no time to think about things like this. It was literally just keep your head above water, keep all the services running, keep the society running, and make sure you don't, just completely dissolve and die. So there hasn't been any time to look at something like this. So we had 1 year where we did the split. We were able to actually maintain a really good financial system, but we didn't really go back and solve the services issues. So we ignore it more. It's just going to get worse. We want to fix it now. We don't want to pass on a set of bad books to our voters. We could also just wait for the services to make enough profits that we just have them pay us back. This sounds good in theory, except for the fact that, as you all probably know, the services are services, not businesses. That means that we don't operate them to make a huge amount of profit. If we did, we would have to charge a lot more. We would probably have to pay people less, or we'd have to completely restructure the way we run the services. And we really don't want to do that. The services exist the way they exist because we believe that they provide the most benefit to students and they're charged for. So, that being said, they would not make enough in a short period of time to pay that back and also maintain the amount that they each need in their bank accounts to safely operate. So, this could work. It would probably take a decade, considering the fact that we have capital expenditures in the services that we need to be able to pay for, and an amount that we need to keep in their bank accounts. So this is just simply not feasible. It would take too long, and as we all know, we have yearly turnover. This would get lost.
It also wasn't the services decision to stay open, it was the execs. So
Yeah.
couldn't really make that pay for decision that wasn't theirs.
So if you think about it, we just basically got the tea room to cater every single day. That's basically what happened. Or we basically just booked Clark out for an event every single Friday. So it was the society specifically paying the services indirectly to keep everything open, even though normal business would have closed its doors because why would you run a business that's losing money? We will not be taking questions at this time. We will take questions after the reading of the motion. And that is everything we have. Thank you guys. I didn't want to take a shot at you, Dolly.
I'm telling you. I love this. We will now read, debate, and vote on motion 3. Motion 3, whereas the services owe the Engineering Society money from over COVID, and whereas the debt was never repaid because accrued due to a lack of bank account balancing, be it resolved that NSOC Council approves the liquidation of a set amount of NSOC investments to pay off this debt. The amount will be set in consultation with NSOC's financial advisor. Moved by Lily, I will gladly give up my life for the Engineering Society services if I must be liquidated, so be it stock. And seconded by Avery Napoleon on stock.
Oh, okay, then yeah, can you just change it to $100,000?
It should be
That is that amount.
50,000.
Or to, $50,000 max, just so that's clear to everyone. We wrote this motion before having met with our financial advisor, just because we wanted to meet the deadline for the motion, but our financial advisor was not able to meet until Wednesday at 10:30. Other than that, we got a liquidation of $50,000 into two $50,000 installments, yeah.
The second one, you'll take out the last.
Yeah, yeah, the last one.
Alright. Thank you for that opening. Is there any debate on the motion? Yes,
Lucas Baylog, Engineering Center. First off of my speaking time here, point of information, because we're liquidating and basically doing anything with investments, we need a 2/3 majority on this motion pass for that to happen. Secondly, 2 questions for the movers. Number 1, this is now our 3rd year basically fully back in person. So how have we managed to operate day to day with the cash currently in our account? Basically, how have we gotten this far and we now need this cash back into our accounts? And secondly, what's the rush on trying to get this? If you can meet with the financial advisor until this week, why couldn't this motion be next council?
I'm just first, I don't know, okay, awesome. So, first question was, how has this gone unnoticed for 3 years, correct? Or why?
We've been fully back in person, normal
How has this not affected us
expenses.
for 3 years?
How have we gotten with it? Say there's $100,000 in the general account, how have we gotten this far with that?
Okay, so, just so everyone's aware, I mean, I know all of you guys have looked at our budget, $100,000 isn't a huge amount of money for us. It is substantial, don't get me wrong, but it is a fraction of what we keep in our bank account at any given time during the school year. Not so much this summer, but it's not huge for us. Like, we've never gone to a point where we're spending more than we're making in revenue as a society. So the society accounts have been fine. The services have also not been losing money for the last 3 years. So we've been able to operate with $100,000 just because it's not a huge portion of money for us. Does that answer your question?
Then why didn't we need the $100,000 not be forced?
Well, our options are we write off the debt and it just leaves our books, and then we just don't take the $100,000 out, but what else are we doing? There have been times where our account has reached a balance that is not what we consider healthy. Not that we ran into like a negative, we didn't overdraw our account, but we do need to keep a large amount of money in our account at all times. So while we're not actually like running out of money, like it's not like the Enchilada account has ever hit 0, we have design teams and clubs and conferences and your exec and affiliate groups. You guys all bank with us. A lot of groups have a lot of money. We need to have that money represented in our companies. So when design teams go to competition and they need to draw like 10 grand, 20 grand, 30 grand, we have that cash for them. And so we always keep a lot of money in our accounts. The exception to this is over the summer when we don't really make any money, but we are still incurring expenses because sometimes OE expenses come in the general account and then they're moved from the OE account. So while $100,000 isn't a huge amount to the society, we need to keep a lot of cash at all times because we need to represent or close to the actual number or amount of money that is represented by our affiliate groups' balances. Does that answer your first question?
Yeah.
Second question? Sorry,
Why the rush? Why can't this be next council?
Right. So the reason why we chose this council was we actually wanted to do this way earlier. We just weren't able to meet with our financial advisor because he was on vacation right before exam season. And then during exam season, obviously there was just no time for Avery and I to coordinate between our exams. And then we went home for the break. And then our financial advisor was still out of the office until literally Wednesday. So we weren't able to find a time. We've been working towards this since you guys ever heard me in my report say, due to froms, or as Kenny once put it, DTF? That's what this is. This was me and Avery working on figuring out exactly how much they owe us, how we're gonna do this, what we're gonna be able to sell, what we're gonna be able to give with our financial advisors. So we wanna get this done as early as possible, because we don't want this to be something we just pass on to our voters. This is not something that we really want to just drop on them as soon as they're elected. We want this to be done by the time that they're in. So when our voters are in, they can just start their year fresh with a clean set of books. That is your question? Why did you have to?
Point of information, my question was, what's the hurry of this? There's a lot of due diligence that needs to be done on this. And, like, typically we'll move as much money in the advisory board, kind of looks at some of these things.
The advisory board isn't involved in this because this isn't part of
Yeah.
their.
Point of information, according to policy data, .c.5.3, each approved structures from capital fund is part of the.
This isn't the capital fund. Capital fund is completely separate. It is its own bank account, and this is not that.
Yes, Secretary Walker.
The main rush is that this needs to be done before we can complete the next step, which is making sure the duty runs, like making sure the accounts are right and making sure it's good. And we'd like to get that done before the end of this term, which is
This is
sadly going way faster than I care to admit.
This is the first step in, or the first step of this part of the process, and there's probably another 5 more steps after this. The sooner we get this done, the sooner we can go towards making sure that all of our books are exactly in order. For anyone who doesn't know, and then with agency 221, books are like our set of financial records, and there are some issues there that we need to fix. We can't fix them really until we get this resolved.
All right, President Walker, next one.
Jack, Walker. Just another way to look at why this is necessary, sort of from the perspective of someone who isn't as much in the weeds of finances. You know, your question about, or Lucas's question about, if we're not going out of business because we're missing this $100,000, why do we do that? It's the same reason that if you loan your friend $500, like you probably wouldn't be, you know, homeless if you loaned them $500. You'd still want that, right? Like it's just like fundamentally that $100,000 needs like the expectation when the decision was made to spend all that money in services was that $100,000 would be put in the account, and that hasn't been done yet. So you can look at it as kind of an obvious problem.
So we want to sell, like what Ram said, President, we want to sell $100,000 worth of stocks. What fraction is that of the total amount that we have in investments?
With what it would, sorry, direct response. With what it would leave in the account, it would be about 10% of our operational budget, which is which is like 10% of our full operational budget, which is still like a pretty decent sized amount compared to what other businesses would be.
Is there any further debate on motion 3? Seeing none, is there a closing for either of our members?
Thank you guys for all your questions. We do appreciate it. We did obviously we wanted your input, so if you guys do have concerns, please voice them. So.
Can I debate on the motion?
Unfortunately, not.
Oh. Okay. Well, anyways, that's all we have. Just know that we're not just dissolving or selling off stocks willy-nilly. We have obviously talked to our financial advisor. There are certain stocks that we think are definitely in a very good position to sell. He predicts that some of them are going to start falling very soon. So,
That's what I was hoping you would say.
oh yes, yes. So we are specifically selling stocks that we are predicting to start doing very poorly. So our financial advisor was almost giddy when we told him we wanted to sell stocks. He's also like 70 years old, so seeing him giddy over the idea of selling stocks is quite funny. But I hope it gives you all faith that we are acting in everyone's best interest, membership, and also services. Thank you.
Thank you for that closing. We will now vote on motion 3. Whereas the services by Louis Stock, seconded by Adrian McFadden. Can I see votes for the motion, please? Thank you very much. Can I see votes against the motion? Thank you. Are there any abstentions? Would you like those noted in the minutes? Sure. All right, thank you. Motion 3 passes. Motion 4. Whereas, to be fully ratified, a club must pass a second vote so they can be added to bylaw, and whereas we've spent the break getting our plans in order and want to start ASAP, be it resolved that council confirm the ratification of Queen's Shad Club as previously passed at the November 28, 2024 council, specifically adding Queen's Shad Club to bylaw 10.c.1. Moved by Lucas 01325 Baylog, seconded by Remy Allison, thirded by Mo bracket Kelly. Is there an opening from either of our movers?
Lucas Baylog, engineering senator and co-founder of Queen Shad Club. Yeah, so basically, bylaw 10.c.1 is NSOC's official list of clubs we approved and ratified. Right now, I have all the privileges as deemed by policy, but I'm not in the bylaw list. So it's a bit silly if I can kind of be a club, but also not really. So I'd like it if I could actually be a proper club and I could work with Remy officially. So yeah, please pass the motion because we already went through this. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for that opening. Is there any debate on motion 4? Seeing none, is there a closing from any of our movers?
Nope.
Motion 4, whereas to be fully ratified, a club must pass a second vote so they can be added to bylaw, and whereas we've spent the break getting our plans in order and want to start ASAP, be it resolved that council confirm the ratification of Queen's Shad Club as previously passed at the November 28th council, specifically adding Queen's Shad Club to bylaw 10.c.1. Moved by Lucas Baylog, seconded by Remy Allison, thirded by Mo Kelly. Can I see votes for the motion, please? Thank you very much. Can I see votes against the motion? Are there any abstentions? Motion 4 passes.
Head forms.
All right, motion number 5. Whereas council made valid points over concerns for investigating the executive when an ERB hasn't been properly hired, and whereas there's a lot of documentation and plans in progress to transition a lower crew, be resolved that council approves of the changes to bylaw 15 as in an appendix, just the board rethinks in its second reading. Moved by Connor, Yapmaster 1 Bosey, seconded by Oliver, Yapmaster 2 Lynn. Is there an opening from either of our movers?
Yeah, Connor Bosey, ERB chair. Same bylaw you saw in the last council last November. The policy that we adjusted to talk about replacing the rector and hiring went through. That was the discussion we had. This one didn't have any additional things to it, so it's just the same as it was. Thanks.
Thank you for that opening. Is there any debate on motion 5? Seeing none, is there a closing from either of our movers? Correct. Motion 5, whereas council made valid points over concerns for investigating the executive when an ERB hasn't been properly hired, and whereas there's a lot of documentation and plans in progress to transition a lower crew, be resolved that council approves of the changes to bylaw 15 as seen in appendix, just the board rethinks in its second reading. Moved by Connor Bosey, seconded by Oliver Lynn. Can I see votes for the motion, please? Thank you very much. Can I see votes against the motion? Are there any abstentions? Motion 5 passes. All right. Motion 6. Whereas we need money to help fund our QEC winners in attending OEC, and whereas the OEC delegate fees were increased from $300 to $450 from previous years, be it resolved that we reallocate the rest of the unused money from the CFES student fee. Be it further resolved that we reallocate and better represent the money being allocated to CEC competitors. Moved by Ethan, we love OEC Powell, seconded by Jack, too bad we're Walker. Is there an opening from either of our movers?
Ethan Bell, Director of Communications. Yeah, so just to give some context of this motion, I hope you guys know what QEC is. It's the Queen's Engineering Competition, and then OEC is the next level for the winners, which is the Ontario Engineering Competition. And basically, the co-chairs this year decided to up the fee by $150. And I hope you guys know that last year we actually hosted OEC, so we already had like reduced fees, and it was really not really well represented in the budget last year. So we had not the best time budgeting for it this year, especially because we didn't know there was going to be an increase. So now this motion is to kind of reallocate some money that isn't being used in the drug section relations budget. I know we mentioned
mentioned it at last council, but the CFES student fee isn't being paid this year. And that was a good decision that was made. So that was around $3,500 that we already reallocated a bit, and this proposal is to reallocate the rest so that we can help fund our competitors to go and represent our school at this competition at McMaster. And then the second further be it resolved is to reallocate and better represent the money allocated to CEC. So CEC is the next level if you win OEC. It's a Canadian Engineering Leadership Competition. Usually, or last year at least, we didn't even send anyone. Fortunately, no one made it there. And it's in, I forget exactly where it is. I think it's somewhere on the West Coast, so there's flights, and we have a lot of money budgeted for that right now. And there's actually kind of a little error in the budget where we have budgeted flights for 3 delegates when we only budgeted for 2 delegate fees. So this is just to better represent that and then have more money to help fund our competitors for OEC and help do a bursary for them as well, because it is $450 is a lot, and we're looking to cover at least around $250 of it. In the past, we usually cover a little more than half, so yeah.
Thank you for that opening. Is there any debate on motion 6?
I guess just a point of information. Jack Walker, President. I guess just a point of information. I believe that some of the communication during QEC was that these fees would be fully covered. So 2 reasons on why we went from we're fully covering fees to you have to pay a significant portion of them. I don't know entirely if QEC was aware that we only charged our own delegates half OEC fees last year because we didn't have to pay for housing for them because they didn't pay for it. So I don't think QEC was necessarily aware that the delegate fees last year were half for Queen's delegates, and secondly, the OEC fee hike this year was delivered to us quite quickly, so we actually didn't know that until after QEC. That is all. Thank you.
Is there any further debate on motion 6?
This is more of a question.
Your name's not on it this time.
I'll be member of large. This is just a question about, so we're reallocating some CEC money to OEC, or CFDS money to OEC. How much would we have originally paid if this wasn't the case, versus how much are we paying now if that was, if this motion was passed?
Sorry, direct response, Director of External Relations, Ethan Towell. Can you clarify what you mean, what was being originally paid to the CFDS, or what are we originally paying to OEC?
Member of large, Pete, just reiterating the question. So right now, if this were to pass, we're paying 250 per delegate. If it were to fail, how much would we be paying per delegate?
Direct response, Ethan Towell, Director of External Relations. It would be closer to 200, and then we would also have less money for the bursary. So yeah, I guess I should, or can I keep going? Yeah, I guess I should specify with these changes, we're adding an extra around, I think it's exactly $2,450 to this budget.
Is there any further debate on motion 6?
All right. Seeing none, is there a closing for either of our